Today I'm changing the lower steering column UJ on V70S. I did actually start recording this video a few days ago, but it turned into a will it start video on a donor car, sat in a field. So I thought that I was going to get a used replacement. The only one was on eBay at 80 quid, and any others that I could find were too far away. So I've now spent 105 quid with Volvo to get a brand new lower steering column UJ. I think this is probably the best deterrent for me mistreating it ever again. So the symptoms of the steering column UJ are notchy steering. So power steering that feels like it goes in and out is sort of like drudgery, like you move an angle, goes easy, and then it's hard again. And some of this is probably my fault from dropping the subframe so many times and possibly not undoing the connection straight away. Ideally, I would have preferred to get another donor car, but I've got to use the car for Goodwood in 3 days. I'm sort of running out of time. Another issue I've been having is outside wear. The state of these tyres now looks like they're illegal, but they are actually still legal, as the tread is legal across 75% of the central portion of the tyre. It's just got quite severe outside wear now. I've also had this on another car. This has happened in 5,000 miles, and I've had it happen on the inside of another car on both front wheels in 10,000 miles. So now I'm starting to question the wheel alignment that I've been having done. So for this issue, a friend of mine, Archie, has very kindly collected me a spare set of wheels from Scotland. Now these are BBS or nebulas. There's a Volvo nebulas or BBS nebulas, if you want to call them, and they're actually fitted with Michelin PS4s, part 1. They're in good enough condition to use on the car, so I'll be interested to see what these look like as well. What's really frustrating is I fit brand new Bridgestones to the car, and I get the four-wheel alignment done at the same time, and yet I'm still killing tyres in 5,000 to 10,000 miles, which obviously gets expensive very quickly. In order to get the old UJ off, a few things that might be slightly easier on my car. I've seemed to have a panel missing from the footwell, which gives me a bit more access under the pedals. Now this is the steering lock in the straight ahead position. So the wheel is pointing straight ahead, and we can't quite access, there's a 13mm nut on the inside end. And in the engine bay, mine's a little bit easier as well, so don't expect the job to be as easy as it may seem initially. Remove the engine cover, which gives me more access down the back, but I also have the exhaust manifold shield missing. And with the steering lock in the straight ahead position, the bolt in the engine bay is very easy to get to. But ideally, we want them both locked in the position that they will be in. So if you turn the wheel one position to the right, off centre, the nut inside is easily accessible. and the bolt in the engine bay is still very easy to get to. The bolt in the engine bay should actually be a 10mm head, but I've replaced it at some point with a 13mm. And the nut inside is a 13mm. Now, if this were the original bolt, it would also have thread lock on it. So you would find that it doesn't just crack off and then finger tight the rest of the way out. It will be tight all the way out. So I'd remove the one in the engine bay first. With the steering lock in this position, you should just about have enough space to use a spanner between the pedals, because if you can't get between the pedals, it makes it much more difficult when removing. And once the nut is quite loose, you'll need to hold the other end by hand, because it then starts to rock back and forth and won't work with the ratchet. And now just push the steering column up and away. This bearing here would normally be seated in the boot, but as I've already had the UJ out, it is unseated. It would come out when removing the UJ anyway. It's likely these will be a lot harder than this to push off, but now you should be able to separate the UJ from the rack. So notice that the groove where the bolt goes through is on the back of the rack. So when you're fitting the new one, you'll want it that way around. I'm not so sure how easy other people will find it to get their arms down here. I've got quite small hands and arms. I'm still managing to hurt myself quite a bit, but it is possible. And now you could go either way to remove. You could either push it through. Oh, I've dropped it anyway, but it will actually squeeze through inside the car. And the problem I had with mine is it's seized one way, so it's absolutely fine this way, but it's seized on the other way, very, very stiff, and you can actually see that it's splayed out slightly. Or perhaps I'm imagining it. I had more time, I would feel inclined to replace the joint itself, because it must be possible to drill out the old one and swap it for a new one. So I will hold on to this just in case that's ever possible in the future, but time is a luxury I don't have at the moment. Well, since the old one dropped out this way, I might as well go through the engine bay again. It seems like it doesn't go on very far, but that's all it takes to refit. It doesn't sit that far on the rack itself. You may wish to add some thread lock, that's up to you. So now we're inside the car. Definitely don't forget to refit the bearing, and ideally don't get it covered in rubbish like I have. I'll add some grease to that afterwards. Should be able to pull the column back down towards the UJ, and you're looking to get this bit inside there. I'm not sure why, but I've actually had to take the steering lock off in order to get that back lined up. And once you've got it in position, just stick the bolt back through and tighten up the 13mm nut on the other end. Now I'm just going to add some grease on the inside and the outside of the bearing. The outside is so that I can squeeze it back into position, and the inside is obviously to make sure that the roller bearings are still well lubricated. I did struggle last time, I had to do one of these, but they can be done. I managed to get the bearing back into position by pushing the whole thing in as far as I could, and eventually it went in all round. Better. result. So if you're watching in order to change the lower joint on your car, I hope this video has helped. I'm going to swap over the wheels now and see how it suits with the nebulas on. Just need to find some centre caps, but they don't look too bad. I do need a good refurb. They look alright from a distance, but they have quite a bit of a state. But yeah, they'll do. They'll do for Goodwood and Donington Park tomorrow.